Anyway, so I think we'll get started. We'll just see if at all anybody joins us, then they will just join us directly. No worries. So to start with, I see that two of you are from Kerala, one is from Uttarakhand, and one is from um, where? Mohali, right? So do you know where I am taking lecture from, by the way? क्या आपको पता है मैं कहाँ से लेक्चर दे रहा हूँ? Which state or city right now I am in? As a people, by the way, it will be great if you can turn on your video, right? So, I mean, I need to see your faces when I teach, especially this is the first lecture. Come on. Do me that favor, please. Hi, Abhi. It's good to see your face. I've already seen Achu and Tasmin, Pushpita. Can you be there, please? Let me know if at all there is a problem. You can at least text me. You can let me know. Hi, Pushpita. And Tasmin. But I am taking lecture from Mumbai. I reside in Mumbai. I have brought up in this city. Basically, I belong from Gujarat, but I have done all my education here. In fact, I did my master's MSc in physics also from IIT Bombay itself. One of the main reason for choosing IIT Bombay was only that, I mean, it's nearby. So what I used to do was Monday to Friday lectures लो और फिर Saturday Sunday घर पे आओ, घर का खाना खाओ, वापस जाओ. So that was my strong motivation when I was at IIT. Anyway, speaking of Mumbai, I mean, this is the season. This is the monsoon season. It's raining heavily outside. I'm not sure. It is around 27 degrees Celsius, but I feel, yes, Tasmin is saying it's heavily raining. It's actually heavily raining here as well. Temperature is around 27, and but I feel that it is something like 22. I should wear a sweater as well right now. Anyway, by the way, speaking of temperature, have you ever wondered what is the difference between Celsius and centigrade? Do you know there is a difference between Celsius and centigrade? They are not one and the same people. There is a difference between Celsius and centigrade. Have realization. Well, to be honest, so around in 17th century, this guy, Anders Celsius, he devised this temperature scale. Where, to your surprise, the original Celsius scale, people, the original Celsius scale, it had 0 degrees Celsius as the boiling point of water and 100 degrees Celsius as the freezing point of water. That was the original Celsius scale, people. Right now, we know that 100 degrees Celsius is boiling, right, and 0 degrees freezing. But it was the other way around back in 17th century. But later, after Celsius, came this guy, James Perry. Okay? So this guy, Perry, he devised a new scale. He was French. He devised a new scale. He called it centigrade. What is the meaning of centi and grade, by the way? Centi means century, 100. And grade means degree, Celsius. So 100 degree. So even he devised a very similar scale, temperature scale, which is known as centigrade scale. And in that, he said, let us say the 0 degree is what the freezing point and 100 degree as the boiling point. So what we use currently, people, is actually centigrade scale. But then, sir, why do we call it Celsius? Then if you are wondering, sir, if 0 degree is freezing and 100 degree is boiling in centigrade, and if it is the other way around in Celsius, then why do we call the current scale as Celsius? Celsius. So people, in 1948, when all the world united and they came to this conference of units and measurement, that is where they decided that from henceforth, we will take the Celsius scale. I mean, we'll use the centigrade scale, but we will call it Celsius scale. Okay, so centigrade scale is now called as Celsius scale only in the honor of Anders Celsius. But the original Celsius scale was the inverse of the current centigrade scale. But we don't call it centigrade anymore. We only call it Celsius. But the story was Celsius was the inverse scale of the current scale, the original scale. Anyway, so I mean, to be honest, this is something that will happen in our class from time and again. Because my school teacher used to tell me that if at all you ask Janam to write an essay on tree, what he does is he ties a horse to the tree and he will, attach the horse, and then he will talk about the horse and forget about the tree. I mean, if at all I have to teach you something today in the class, what I'm going to do is I've just tied the Celsius and centigrade. I've explained to you the Celsius and centigrade, and then I'm here already. So I forgot about the content. So this is something that will happen time and again. But I think it's fine. That is the fun, right? If we go with the flow, that is the fun. So yes, Nitin Gigi is joining us now at 10:11. I don't like this unpunctual students. And even I used to be unpunctual at my time. Now Dhanashri is also joining us. Okay, Nitin Gigi. Could you please show me your face, Nitin? And you are from Kollam, Kerala as well. And Harshala is also joining us now. Hi, Nitin. And Dhanashri. Dhanashri, so, well, you guys just missed a very interesting story about Celsius and centigrade, but don't worry, I will upload the lecture and you can later go through that story as well. So let's get started, people. Let's just get started. So the first thing that I'm planning to teach you all today is something that you must have already seen in that 1 minute snippet in the YouTube, which is my fundamental question. Joe, I mean, this is something you have been learning from 11th standard, people. This is something you will be learning from 11th standard, but question mark rahega ki why it is the way it is. The question is why, people, the first derivative dy by dx is equal to 0 at maxima or minima. So that is the first question for the day that we are going to answer here. Okay, so let's just get started. Let me share the screen with you all. Acha, by the way, agar kuch bhi doubt rahega aapko, if at all you guys have any doubt, what you have to do is you have to raise hand. You see there is an option to raise hand, people. Can you please try that? I will get a notification immediately that somebody of you have raised hand. Can you please try the raising hand option? That there is a reaction option. Yes, Pushpita has raised hand. If you go to the chat box, yes, Abin has raised hand, Tasmin has raised hand. You can try this. Acha, Harshla, what you have done, that is clapping, and this is thumbs up. Yes, reactions has got clapping and thumbs up. If at all you like something that I'm going to teach, I might teach. All you have to do is react. So that is clapping and thumbs up. If you want to raise hand, you can go to the chat box, and I think there will be an option to raise hand. Yes. Okay. So if at all you guys will have any doubt during the lecture, raise your hand. I will talk to you immediately. So let's just continue. So the first question, people, for the day, like I said, is why, just hold on, why dy by dx is 0 at maxima or minima. Okay. So people, first tell me, what is the meaning of dy by dx? It simply means change in y with respect to x, change in y with respect to x. Somebody is saying something in the chat box. Yes, Pushpita, great. So it is basically what change in y, people, with respect to x. But if you realize change in y with respect to x, people, ye to actually this is also the definition of the slope, right? This is also the definition of the slope, and you denote it by m. What is the how do you write slope, people? Y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1, right? So this is also what change in y with respect to x, how y is changing with respect to x, right? This is also change in y with respect to x. Acha, एक fundamental question hai. Have you ever wondered why do we denote slope by m? I mean, we denote energy by E, we denote voltage by V, we denote power by P, we denote force by F. Then why don't we denote slope by S, and why have we denote slope by M, people? Kabhi socha? Have you ever wondered? Fundamental question. Why do we denote slope by M? Nahi socha hai na? Well, honestly, even I tried to surf about it initially back at 11th and 12th when I had this question for the first time. So Google told me that there is no exact answer to this. Why do we denote slope by M? But the suspicion is there are two theories. The first theory, the Englishmen, the British people or the Americans, they used to tell that slope is denoted by M because M stands for modulus. So it is actually modulus of slope, you know, the mod of slope. So basically, if I say y equal to minus 3x, then you can say the slope, everybody, is 3 and not minus 3 here. You will say slope is 3 and it is negative. So it is the modulus of the slope as per the Englishman. But when it comes to the French people, they said that M, everybody, stands for a mathematical word which is called as montar. Okay, something like monster. It's like monter people, monter. In French, monter means basically to climb. Or what is a slope? Slope is basically something like climbing, right? There is a slope, right? So you climb that thing. Slope is it might be a French word which is known as monter, or it might be an English word which is known as modulus. So these are the two theories, but we don't have any exact answer to this. Anyway, so happy realization for the day. Let's continue. So to start with, so I was saying change in y with respect to x, that is our first derivative dy by dx. You can also write it y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. But people, if at all suppose I have a straight line, if at all I have a straight line, something like this, okay. So one of the fantastic part about this straight line is this slope, everybody, is constant throughout the straight line, correct? What do you mean by constant, sir? So if I tell you take, let's say 4 points, if you take 4 points, let us say x1 y1, x2 comma y2, x3 comma y3, and similarly x4 comma y4. And if I tell you calculate slope between any 2 points, let us say between a and b, or b and c, or c and d, or a and c, or a and d, if you calculate y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1, or if you want, you can calculate y3 minus y2 upon x3 minus x2. So if at all you calculate slope between any 2 points across this slope, obviously it always comes out to be constant. Now the question is why, sir? Why it is constant? Why the slope is constant for a straight line as well? Even that is a question, right? So to answer that, why the slope is constant for a straight line, let us say this is an angle theta, people. Let us say this is an angle theta. Okay. So let us take these 2 points here. Maybe this one, let's say this is x1 comma y1, and let us say this coordinate is people x2 comma y2. Okay. So if I complete the triangle, people, then understand that this point is actually your y2. This point is your y1. And then this point is your x2. And this point is also your x1. I mean 0 comma 0 I have taken as x1 y1, by the way. So here, if we calculate, let us say, or tell me what is this length, people? What is this length? This is y2, this is y1. So this length is everybody what? Y2 minus y1, correct? Now this point is x2, this point is x1. So this length, everybody, is what? X2 minus x1. Tell me what is tan theta, people? Opposite upon adjacent. So opposite is y2 minus y1, adjacent is x2 minus x1. But people, this theta is constant throughout the line, right? This theta is constant throughout the line, and since theta is constant, people, y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1 is also constant, which is actually what your slope. So please remember, slope can be written as dy by dx because it is change in y with respect to x, or if you want, you can also write it y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1, or if you want, you can also write it tan theta, people. Okay, and this, everybody, is always constant. For a straight line, it is always constant. Okay, don't worry, I will tell you what you have to pen down and what you don't have to pen down. You can relax and just understand the lecture. Okay, so this is about the slope, people. Now suppose instead of a straight line, we have, let us say, something like a curve, people. And let me have some points here. Let's say A, B, C, and D, everybody. Okay, so if at all I want to calculate the slope along this curve and between any 2 points, let us say if I want to calculate the slope between AB, if I want to calculate the slope between AC, if I want to calculate the slope between AD, what do you think? Is the slope constant or not? Obviously it's not constant, because again, people, the angles are different. Look at this. This has a smaller angle, this has a larger angle, and this has an even larger angle. Since the angles are different, the slope between any 2 points along a curve is not constant. Slope between any 2 points, along a curve, people, it is not constant. It is not constant, correct? Okay, so this is something that we established from this. Now what is the use of this establishment, people? So again, let me draw this curve, and let us just take points again. Suppose we have these 2 points A and B, people. Let us just join them with a straight line. Okay, so this, I can extend the straight line, right? There is no harm in extending the straight line, people. So this is basically the angle that it subtends with the x-axis. Now tell me, if I bring A and B nearer, if you want to bring people A and B closer to each other, suppose now you bring A here and now you take B here, what happens? The line comes closer to the curve. The line comes closer to the curve. So if you keep bringing A and B closer, people, if you keep bringing A and B closer, remember you can extend the line as well. You can extend the line as well. Then at a particular point, people, then at a particular point where A and B will coincide, A and B will coincide, what will happen? What will happen? Here, I will actually, can I just say that the line at A and B equal to constant, that is going to be a tangent, people? If you want to join A and B continuously, this is the first line, this is the second line, this is the third line, and similarly here it will be a point, people. But what if you extend the point? If you extend the point, people, it actually becomes a tangent, right? It actually becomes a tangent. So agar meko, if at all I want to calculate the slope at one point, if I want to calculate slope at one point, what I simply have to do, just like Pushpita had said a while ago, we draw a tangent, people. But I think now do you understand now why do we draw a tangent? आपने बचपन में पढ़ तो लिया है, like you have learned that tangent we have to draw if you want to calculate the slope at a point. But now do you understand why do we draw a tangent at a point, people? Because if you want to calculate the slope at one point, that is basically when A and B coincides, and if you extend that point, people, that point actually becomes a tangent. So please remember that if at all we want to calculate slope at one point, slope at a point, people, slope at a point, then all we do is what, people? Draw a tangent to that point. Draw a tangent to that point. Okay, all good? Slope at a point, all we have to do is what? Draw a tangent to that point. Let's continue. So now I think I'm going to answer your question, which is, suppose, people, if we have a curve something like this. Now this is the maxima and this is what? The minima, right? So if at all I want to calculate the slope at maxima and minima, how do we calculate the slope, people? Just like we just learned, since this is a curve, slope at one point can be calculated by drawing a tangent to it. So let us draw a tangent to maxima and let us also draw a tangent to minima. Let us also draw a tangent to minima. Okay, something like this. Do you realize something that, oh, sorry. Yes. People, along this tangent, if I want to calculate slope along this tangent, what do you think? People, y is constant along this tangent. Y is constant. Y is constant along tangent at maxima and minima. Y is constant at tangent. Sorry, y is constant at tangent along maxima and minima. Right? Y is constant at tangent along maxima and minima. And people, you just said slope. Do you remember? We just said that slope can be written as derivative of y with respect to x. And what is derivative of a constant, people? What is derivative of a constant? 0. And hence, people, at maxima or minima, the first derivative is equal to 0. Is that clear, everybody? The first derivative at maxima or minima, it is equal to 0 because we have a tangent, which is the slope, and this slope is constant because the y is constant, people. Is that clear? The slope is 0. The slope is 0 because y is constant, and slope can be written as dy by dx, and hence the first derivative at maxima or minima, it is 0. All good until here? Any doubts until here, people? Okay. So let's continue. Doubt rahega, please remember, you can ask me then and there. Okay, do not hesitate. I'm not going to scold you. I'm very, very kind that way. Okay, so let's continue from here. Here we go. So now we will go for the second part of this topic, which is, do you remember that you guys must have learned that d square y by dx square is greater than 0 at minima, and you have learned that d square y by dx square is less than 0 at maxima. But again, the question is, have you ever wondered why, people? Why the second derivative is greater than 0 at minima and why the second derivative is less than 0 at maximum? So let us answer these questions today. Okay, so let's continue. Now, tell me usually how a maxima looks like. Something like this. This is usually how you draw maxima. And if at all you want to draw minima, people, how do we draw? Something like this. This is how we draw minima and this is minima, people. Now, let us draw one minima here. Let us draw a minima. Okay. And let us consider 3 points. Let's say points A, B, and C. Let us draw slope to these point, people. Okay. So this is the slope at A. This is the slope at B. And this is the slope at C, people. All good? Do you realize that people, slope at A is actually negative? Why? Because y is decreasing with x. Y is decreasing with x. Matlab y2 is less than y1. Since y2 is less than y1, we will get negative, people. Do you realize that the slope at B is 0? Why? Because y is constant with x. Y is constant with x. And y2 is equal to y1, right? Y2 is constant with x. Do you realize that the slope at C is, everybody, what? Positive. So why it is positive, people? Because if you realize y is increasing, right? Y is increasing with x. Y is increasing with x, people. Y is increasing with x. So slope at C is positive. Okay. So can I say that slope as we go from A to B to C, as we go from A to B to C, the slope becomes negative 0 to positive. Basically, the slope becomes positive as you go from A to B, correct? The slope tends to become positive as we go from A to B, A to C, A to C, correct? As we go from A to C, people, the slope tends to become positive. Achha, positive means what, people? Greater than 0. Achha, so can I just say that this change in slope with respect to x, change in slope with respect to x is becoming positive, right? Change in slope with respect to x is becoming positive as we go from A to B to C. I hope there is no problem in that. This was our diagram. Here we had A, here we had B, and here we had C. So as we go from A to B to C, change in slope with respect to x, people, it is becoming positive. Can I then say that change in slope with respect to x is becoming positive? What is the meaning of positive, people? It is greater than 0. It is tending to become greater than 0. People, what is change in y with respect to x? Do you remember? Change in y with respect to x, that is dy by dx. That is dy by dx. So change in slope with respect to x, this is what, people? D slope by dx, it is greater than 0. D slope by dx, this is greater than 0, because change in y with respect to x is dy by 0. Change in slope with respect to x, it is d slope by 0. And what is slope, people? Slope is dy by dx itself. So can I just substitute, instead of this slope, can I just substitute dy by dx now? And what do we get? We get d square y by dx square is greater than 0. But where this is only possible, d square y by dx square, people, it is greater than 0. Remember, it is only possible if at all you are going from A to B to C, where B is what? Minima. Where B is minima. So people, around minima, you can simply say that, d square y by dx square is greater than 0. Is that clear, everybody? All good? Do you have any doubts? And please ask me. Achha, by the way, so with time you will see more energy and more naturality from me. So I haven't told you anything about myself, by the way. So my bachelor's from Somaya in 2015, and I had attempted IIT JAM in 2015, by the way, just SE for time pass. So back in 2015, I scored All India rank 641. Obviously, that was not enough. That was not sufficient to get myself into an IIT. So because the cutoff for general category got closed around 370. So I thought that let me take a break and let me then apply, because I desperately wanted IIT Bombay, to be honest. So I took a year break, but I was a bit overconfident. I mean, I thought that I have already scored 641 masti mein. So it will be easy for me to score under 200 rank in my next attempt. And so I continued teaching even after my bachelor's. I continued teaching for a year, and at the same time, I continued my learning as well. I mean, I used to learn part time. I used to teach part time, and what happened then? In 2016, people attempted IIT JAM, and I scored All India rank 434. But the cutoff again got closed at 370. Obviously, I could not make it into the IIT. So then I was a bit hurt, and then there was this professor who came to me and who told me that, Janam, please remember one thing in life, that Saraswati or Lakshmi dono ek saath nahi aate hai. Do you know what is Saraswati, people? Saraswati means knowledge. And what is the meaning of Lakshmi, people? Lakshmi means money. Saraswati and Lakshmi, people, knowledge and money, these two cannot run parallel to each other. I tried to do both of them during the same year. I tried to teach, I tried to earn money, I tried to learn. So I tried to handle both of them simultaneously, but it did not work. So after his suggestion, I decided that I will take a year drop again. But this time I will put all my energy in my learning, and I won't teach or I won't earn. Then I prepared rigorously for a year, and eventually in 2017 IIT JAM attempt, I scored All India rank 45, and then I got IIT Bombay. So that is the story. So I just continue again. I went to the horse and I forgot about the tree. So let's come back to the tree. Here we go. So what did we just prove? We just proved that second derivative everybody is greater than 0 at minima. Similarly, we can prove that the second derivative is everybody what, less than 0 at maxima. Correct? Because again, you will use the same theory. Let us say that we have a maxima, then we will have a slope. You can draw three slopes. This slope is positive, this slope is 0, this slope is negative. The slope is tending to become positive to negative. The slope is tending to become negative as you go along x-axis. So the change in slope with respect to x-axis is negative, or again you can see that d square y by dx square is negative, means what? Less than 0. And this is only possible at maxima, people. Okay. So now let us just learn the steps that are going to be required to solve any problem that they might ask us on maxima and minima. Usually people, the problem will be faced something like, they will give us a question. Let us say that y is equal to f of x, a standard question. And then they will ask us to find, let us say, x1 and x2. x1 and x2. And what are x1 and x2, by the way? Where x1 and x2 are the points where y is maximum and minimum respectively. This is the first kind of question that they might ask us. Okay, so basically suppose that we have this graph, and this is y-axis and this is x-axis. So they might ask us to calculate this x1 and x2. This at x1 people y is maximum, and x2 people y is minimum. So we have to find x1 and x2, where the x1 and x2 are actually the points along x-axis where y everybody is either maximum or minimum. x1 and x2 are the points along x-axis. Then they might also ask us to calculate. The respective y max and y minimum. They might also ask us to calculate the respective y max and y minimum. Okay. So if you want, you can write this, people. You can first give the heading steps, and this is the fundamental question. This is a generalized question. Please copy this much, and then we'll write the steps. Generalized question. Achha, by the way, please bear with my handwriting. I'm really poor at that. I should have been a doctor, I think so. Sorry to all the doctors that that everybody makes fun of them every time. Whenever they see bad handwriting, everybody, it's a lame joke. I know it's a lame joke that you would say, hey, handwriting kharab hai, just become a doctor, whatever. Anyway. And please remember, if at all you have any doubt, do ask me. I'm not going to scold you. Okay. Do not compromise, people. Do not compromise. Done? Okay. So what about the steps? Now, how are we going to solve this question? How do we find x1, x1? How do we find y max and y minimum? So let's talk about it. Okay. So the first step is, listen, they will be giving us y equal to f of x. This will be given. What we have to do is find dy by dx initially. Third step, we equate dy by dx with 0. And why do we do this, people? Because we have to find maxima and minima, right? And don't forget that at maxima and minima, dy by dx is 0. At maxima and minima, dy by dx is 0. So we will equate dy by dx with 0. So it will be something like x minus 3 equal to 0, and you will get the value of x equal to 3. So if you equate dy by dx equal to 0, you will always get some value of x, people. After equating and solving, we get some x equal to a value. I don't know what is a. We have no idea what is a, but we'll get x equal to a. All we know that x equal to a is that point, people. Achha, you can copy later. Don't worry, I will give you time. Just focus. So x equal to a, people, it is that point where dy by dx is equal to 0. But remember, people, so even this could be x equal to a, and even this could be x equal to a, because this is the point where dy by dx is 0, and this is the point where dy by dx is equal to 0. So I have no idea whether x equal to a is the point of maxima or whether x equal to a is the point of minima. We have no idea whatsoever right now. All we know it could be either maxima or it could be minima. It could be either this point where y is maximum, or it could be either this point where y is minimum, people. So how to find? Now the next challenge is how to find whether x equal to a is maxima or minima. The question is whether x equal to a is maxima or minima. How to find that? Okay. So for that, we just learned in the fourth step, people. Around minima, the second derivative is less than 0, and around maxima, around minima, the second derivative is greater than 0, and around maxima, the second derivative is less than 0. So let us find second derivative. The fourth step will be, we find second derivative d square y by dx square. And then around minima, matlab, if at all, if x equal to a is minima, if x equal to a is minima, then d square y by dx square at x equal to a, people, this should be what? Greater than 0. This should be greater than 0. And similarly, you can say that, let's say this is a, this is b, around maxima, if x equal to a is maxima, people, if x equal to a is maxima, then I can say d square y by dx square at x equal to a should be less than 0. So basically what we do in the fifth step is we put in the fifth step, all you have to do is put x equal to a in d square y by dx square. Just substitute kar do. As soon as you substitute x equal to a in d square y by dx square, what will we get, people? We'll get either a value which is greater than 0, or we will get a value which is less than 0. So if at all it is greater than 0, you can say it is maxima, and if at all we get it less than 0, then you will say it is greater than 0 than minima and less than 0 than maxima. Please make a note of these 5 points. But then we don't forget that we also have to find y max and y minimum, people. We also have to find y max and y minimum. Now the challenge is how to find that. So it's simple. If x equal to a, if x equal to a is minima, if x equal to a is, everybody, minima, then all we have to do is put x equal to a in y equal to f of x. So you will get y minimum. Then we get y minimum, right? If at all you substitute the minimum value of x, then you will get y minimum. And similarly, this is the sixth step. And similarly, you can say if, okay, let me try to write nicely now. Okay. So if x equal to a is maxima, then put x equal to a in y equal to f of x, and what do we get, people? Y maximum. So you see how boring and slow this is. Anyway, please copy. Okay, so let's continue. So let's now take a question to apply the same topic. Okay, here we go. So the question is, if v of r is 1 upon r square minus 2 upon r, then will it have a finite maxima or minima? What will be the position r for the respective maxima or minima, and what will be the value of v of r at the respective maxima or minima? So let's solve this, people. So the first step, v of r, this is given to us, which is what? 1 upon r square minus 2 upon r. The second step is we differentiate. We find dv by dr. So d by dr of what is the value of v, people? It is 1 upon r square minus 2 upon r. Please split them. So this is d by dr of 1 upon r square minus d by dr of 2 upon r. Correct? So what is derivative of 1 upon r square, people? Minus 2 upon r cube. Sorry, minus 2 upon r cube minus 2 outside. 2 is a constant, will go outside. We are left with d by dr of 1 upon r. And what do we get? dv by dr, it will be minus 2 upon r cube minus of 2 into, what is derivative of 1 upon r, people? Minus 1 upon r square. Correct? So I'm assuming that obviously you all know the derivatives. Let me know if at all you have issues in that as well. We'll sort it out, don't worry. Okay. Basically, you can just remember that 1 upon x raised to n, derivative of 1 upon x raised to n, it is simply minus n upon x raised to n plus 1. Okay. So derivative of 1 upon x raised to 2 will be minus 2 upon x raised to 3. Derivative of 1 upon x raised to 3 will be minus 3 upon x raised to 4. Derivative of 1 upon x raised to 4 will be minus 4 upon x raised to 5. Simple. It is simply always minus n upon x raised to n plus 1. Okay. So anyway, so dv by dr, it's what? Minus 2 upon r cube minus plus 2 upon r square. Achha, I will require space, people. Can you copy this much? So this is the second step. Okay. Achha, I can write here as well with white chalk. I mean white pen. Third step. What we have to do? We can equate dv by dr with 0 to find maxima and minima. So minus 2 upon r cube plus 2 upon r square is 0. So 2 upon r square is equal to 2 upon r cube. Correct? And what can we cancel now? So 2 and 2 gets cancelled, r square and cube gets cancelled. So all that I get is r equal to 1, people. All that I get is r equal to 1. Now the question is whether r equal to 1 is maxima or minima. I have no idea. So that is a question, maxima or minima. So for that, what we do is, people, we find the second derivative, d square v by dr square. Please copy this much. So let's go for the fourth step, people. We have so far found r equal to 1, and then we have found dv by dr is minus 2 upon r cube plus 2 upon r square. What is the fourth step? We find d square v by dr square. Second derivative, d square v by dr square, that is actually d by dr of the first derivative. Second derivative is actually derivative of the first derivative. So it is d by dr of, what is the first derivative, people? It is minus 2 upon r cube plus 2 upon r square, right? This is what you have found in the first step, the first derivative. Correct? Split them. So minus 2 derivative of 1 upon r cube plus 2 derivative of 1 upon r square. I have split them and I have taken the constants outside. Okay. So what do we get now? D square v by dr square, this will be equal to minus 2 into, what is derivative of 1 upon r cube, people? Minus 3 upon r is to 4 plus 2 into, what is derivative of 1 upon r square, people? Minus 2 upon 1 upon r cube. Minus 2 upon r cube. Correct? So open this. So this becomes minus 6 upon r is to 4 minus 2 2s are 4 upon r is to 3. So this is, people's second derivative. This is second derivative. Now what is the next step? What is the fifth step? We substitute r equal to 1 in d square v by dr square to find whether it is maxima or minima. So substitute that r equal to 1 that you have found out in the third step in this step, people. So substitute this value. What do we get? D square v by dr square is equal to minus 6 upon 1 raised to 4 minus 4 upon 1:3. So let me know if at all I have done any mistake. I think everything is correct, right? Okay, this is plus. Look at this. Like I said, there was a small mistake. This is plus people. -2 into -3. This is +6. Rest is fine. Yes. Okay. So this is 6 upon 1:4 upon -4 upon 1:3, which is 6 minus 4. This is 2 people. This is greater than 0. 2 is greater than 0. And if you get the second derivative, which is greater than 0, then what does it mean, people? Then that was the point of minima. So I can say that r equal to 1 is minima, people. So look at this. Will it have a finite maxima or minima? The answer is minima. And what will be the position of the r with respect to maxima or minima? The position is r equal to 1. So we have found A and B. Now we have to find C as well. Please copy this much. Okay. So let's continue, people. Next step. So what will be the value of V of r at the respective maxima or minima? So V of r at r equal to 1, which is minima, people, it will be, what is the value of V of r? It is 1 upon r square minus 2 upon r. So it is 1 upon 1 square minus 2 upon 1 upon 1 square minus 2 upon 1, which is 1 minus 2, which is how much, people? Minus 1. So the V of r, the minimum value, this is the minimum value of V of r, people. Minimum value of V of r. Of V of r. Okay. So we got V of r, which is the minimum value, how much? -1. And what is the minimum point, people? At r equal to 1. At r equal to 1. Remember, you can also write this in coordinate form. V of r, you can take it in along y-axis, and r, V of r depends on r. Please remember one thing, people. The quantity which depends on another quantity is taken on the y-axis, and this variable r or x, it is always taken along x-axis. So the x coordinate is actually 1. X coordinate is 1, and the y coordinate is -1. X coordinate is 1 and y coordinate is -1. You can also write it in coordinate form. 1 comma -1 is the answer. Okay. Done, people? Okay. So people, let me now give you a wow feeling as well. Dekho, to be honest now, I don't want to make you all a robot. I mean, I give you a sum, you solve it and done. What is the physics behind it? I mean, I gave you an equation, you found something, but what does it mean? The something that you have found, what does it actually mean? So let us do one thing. Let us plot the graph that we have. What is the equation of the graph? Let us just check it again. The equation is 1 upon r square minus 2 upon r, right? So let's plot this. Okay, I will share the screen with you live, and let's take some fun. Let's have some fun. So now I think you will be able to see my screen, people. Okay, don't look at my screen, huh? So let's do one thing. Let's go to this website called as Desmos. Desmos is a graphing website, people. You can plot graphs on this. You can try this. It's fun. Okay. So let's plot the graph live. Okay. Let it load. Okay. So what was our equation, people? 1 upon r square minus 2 upon r, right? So let me plot 1 upon x square. 1 upon x square. 1 upon x square. And then minus 2 upon r. Minus 2 upon r, which is minus 2 upon x. So this is how the graph of the equation that we have plotted looks like. The fantastic part is, people, it does not have a maxima, as you see, because this thing tends to infinity. Just hold on. This thing, people, this tends to infinity. So no maxima. वो एकदम infinity पे जाएगा ऊपर तक. It is going to go above, and we will have no maxima. But do you see that we have a minima, people? Do you see that we have a minima here? Do you want to check the values of minima? What was the coordinate that we found, people? What were our coordinates? It was -1. Sorry, it was 1 comma -1, right? So let's just check whether we were correct or not. Okay, hold on. Mouse. So look at this coordinate, people. Look at this. What did we get? It's 1 comma minus 1, everybody. Samjha? So, I mean, it's important that, you also visualize this thing rather than just solving it robotically. It's important that you remember you are human and you understand things. Okay. So anyway, let's continue. Let's take a question which was asked in IIT JAM 2017 now. Okay. So this is a question that was asked in IIT JAM 2017, which is a particle of unit mass is moving on a one-dimensional potential V of x equal to x square minus x raised to 4. The minimum mechanical energy in the same units as V of x above, which the motion of the particle cannot be bounded for any given initial condition is. And this was a numerical answer type question, by the way. Okay, it was a numerical answer type question. Specify answer in 2 digits. Now listen. Let me just tell you one thing. Around 90% students gave wrong answer to this question when it was asked in IIT JAM 2017. What do you think? They will give you itna simple sa equation. The equation is so simple, and they will ask you to calculate first derivative, second derivative, find the value, substitute. ये IIT का level है क्या? Is this the level of IIT? Not really, right? People, there is a huge twist in this question. I mean, initially people feel that, listen, what have they asked? The minimum mechanical energy. So 90% of students have found E minimum, and then they have just wrote that value, and they have wrote that value. People, this is wrong. You don't have to find E minimum here. Yes, they have said minimum mechanical energy, but you don't have to find minimum mechanical energy because of this word, cannot be bounded. Cannot be bounded. Now what does it mean? Suppose we have this graph. Just hold on. Suppose we have this graph. Now tell me one thing. What does this mean? The particle is bounded in this area. This is the region where the particle exists. Bounded region. Bounded region. Where particle exists. Where particle exists. Okay. So tell me one thing. What are they asking us to calculate? They are asking us to calculate the minimum mechanical energy. So obviously, logically, if you will tell me this is minimum energy and this is maximum energy. Okay. Yes. So 90% of students finds this minimum energy. But the twist is that they have said you have to find the minimum mechanical energy above which the motion of the particle cannot be bounded. Now tell me one thing. Above E minimum के ऊपर, is it not bounded or is it bounded? And it is bounded, right? Above E minimum it is bounded, and they are asking us to calculate the minimum mechanical energy about which it cannot be bounded. समझ रहा है क्या? So understand, actually they are asking us this E maximum because above E maximum the particle does not exist. Particle does not exist above E maximum. So this is the minimum energy above which it does not exist, people. Above which it does not exist. समझ रहा है क्या? This is the minimum energy above which, people, it does not exist. Acha, if you are saying, sir, then why they are confusing us so much with minimum? Why the word minimum? Can't they simply tell us we have to find maximum energy? People, tell me one thing. Tell me one thing. The particle cannot be bounded. That is what we are understanding above E maximum. Now, suppose if this is your energy axis. Energy axis. Tell me, does particle exist here in this energy? No, right? क्या particle यहाँ पर है? Do we have particle here? No. Do we have particle at this energy? No. Do we have particle at this energy? No. But as soon as we reach this point, we get the particle. So this is the minimum energy where the particle exists. And above this minimum energy, the particle does not exist. Is that clear, people? Is that clear? So when they are asking us to calculate minimum mechanical energy, above which the particle does not exist, it simply means you have to find the maximum energy of the particle. Let us write that language, people. Let us just write minimum energy. ये आप note करके पहले लिख लो, please. Note that minimum energy above which particle does not exist it simply means you have to calculate E max. Or agar, if at all, instead of the word above, they had used the word below, below which the particle does not exist. Below which the particle does not exist. Then it will be people simply E minimum. है ना? Because below this point, the particle does not exist, and above this point, the particle does not exist. So, okay. So basically, all I want to explain is that, do you realize that the particle exists here? It is bounded in this region, correct? Particle exists here, exists. But above this energy is does not exist, correct? Above this energy is does not exist. And below this energy, it does not exist. है ना? But simple. Below this energy, it does not exist. So if they are asking us to find minimum energy above which it does not exist, which is this energy, people, this energy above which it does not exist, correct? So this is what? This is Emax, है ना? And below this energy it does not exist. It is what, people? E minimum. अब समझा? Clear है? Okay. So like I said, you have to tell me if you don't understand. I don't want you all to compromise, people. So let's follow the steps. Our favorite part. They have given us v of x, which is x square minus x raised to 4. What is the second step? dv by dx. Now what is derivative of x squared? 2x. What is derivative of x raised to 4? 4x cube. Third step. We equate dv by dx with equal to 0. So 2x minus 4x cube is equal to 0. Now listen everybody carefully here. Listen to me. Do not equate 2x equal to 4x cube. Do not do this. Because what will happen here? Do you realize what will happen here? 2 1s are 2 2s are, x will be equal to 2x cube. And then you will say that 1 is equal to 2x square, and you will say half is x square, people. You will get only plus or minus 1 upon root 2. But there is another point that you can get, which is you can take x common, 2x common. You can take 2x common, people. And you are left with 1 minus 2x square, which is 0, right? I've taken 2x common and we are left with 1 minus 2x square. Can I say that 2x is equal to 0 and 1 minus 2x square is equal to 0? So I get x is equal to 0 and I also get 1 is equal to 2x square. So I get x is either equal to 0 or I get half is equal to x square, correct? And if I use now the white chalk, so either x is equal to 0 or plus or minus root half, this is the value of x. So I don't know कौन सा maxima है, कौन सा minima है, we have no idea. Now the question is, we also have to find which one is minima and which one is maxima. Okay. Achha, now let me talk to, yes, sorry, thank you. So let's take the, we have done 3 steps. Let's do the 4th step now. What is the 4th step, people? We find the second derivative, which is actually derivative of the first derivative. So this is d by dx of, what is the first derivative, people? The first derivative was 2x minus 4x cube. So this is, you can take 2 outside, derivative of x, minus, you can take 4 outside, derivative of x cube. So this is 2 into what is derivative of x with respect to x1 minus what is derivative of x cube. This is 3x square. So this is 2 minus 12x square, people. This is 2 minus 12x square, correct? So this is d square v by dx square. Now we have got 3 points, people. We have got 3 points. We have got x equal to 0 and we have got x equal to plus or minus 1 upon 2 under the root. So let us substitute these points and check what we have to find. Do you remember, by the way? We have to find the minimum mechanical energies in, we have to find E max, people. We have to find E max. Minimum mechanical energy above which it cannot be bounded. And I've already explained to you that we have to find E max. So we have to find maxima. We have to find maxima. And what is the condition for maxima, people? The second derivative should be less than 0, right? So let us substitute. Put x equal to 0 in second derivative. Put x equal to 0 in d square v by dx square. So what do we get? D square v by dx square at x equal to 0, it is equals to, it will be what? 2 minus 12 into 0 square. So this is 2. But people, this is greater than 0. Then this is the point of minima. I don't require this. I don't require this. Okay. So let's try the other thing. D square v by dx square. Achha, just copy this much. I think I will require space. Okay. So let's find uh, d square v by dx square, which is 2 minus 12x square, right? D square v by dx square, this is 2 minus 12x square. Now let us put x equal to plus or minus 1 upon root 2. I mean root of half, plus or minus root of half. Okay. So what do we get? D square v by dx square will be equal to 2 minus 12 into plus or minus root half square. So this will be 2 minus 12 into, अब प्लस का स्क्वायर तो प्लस होगा, माइनस का स्क्वायर भी प्लस होगा, करेक्ट? So root of half का square, what is the root of half का square, people? Simply half. So this is 2 minus 6, which is minus 4. And now since this is minus 4, people, this is less than 0. So what can I say? That this is the point of maxima. This is the point of maxima, people. This is the point of maxima. X equal to plus or minus root half, it is the point of maxima. By the way, I hope you have by-hearted the value of 1 upon root 2. किसी को पता है यहाँ पर? Can you tell me in the chat box what is the value of 1 upon root 2? Have you by-hearted this? You have to by-heart this value, people. It's a very important value. Value of 1 upon root 2. Have you memorized this? It is 0.7071. Please remember this value, people. This value is very popular. 0.7071. So x equal to plus or minus root half, that is the point of maxima. But please remember, उन लोगों ने हम लोग को x नहीं पूछा है. They are not asking us to find x, people. They are not asking us to find x. They are asking us to find v of x. So let us find v of x. Substitute x. Substitute x. X is what? Plus or minus root half. So v of x is maximum at x equal to plus or minus root half. So the maximum Vmax, people, Vmax, it will be how much? X square minus x raised to 4, which is x square की जगह पर plus or minus root half the whole square minus x raised to 4 की जगह पर plus or minus root half raised to 4. Correct? So plus or minus का square is always plus. Just hold on, this thing is irritating me. Let me skip this later. So root half का square is, people, half minus 1 upon root 2 का square, 1 upon root 2 power raised to 4. What does it mean? Root half into root half into root half into root half, right? So root half into root half is half, root half into root half is half. So it is half into half, which is 1 by 4. It is 1 by 4, everybody. It is 1 by 4. So 1 by 2 minus 1 by 4. Cross multiply. 4 minus 2 upon 2 into 4, which is minus 2 upon 4 to the 8, which is minus 1 by 4, which is minus 0.25. Answer is, people, minus of 0.25. That's your answer, everybody. 0.25. 0.25. It's not minus, sorry, it's plus. I'm really sorry. It's plus. 4 minus 2 is obviously plus 2. Answer is plus 0.25. So we have just cracked IIT JAM 2017 question, everybody.